Welcome to another episode of the Hallelujah Garden Guide. My name's George Malkmus, founder of Halley Acres. We're going to talk today about the value, the nutrient value of the foods that we eat. And I think you're going to find this quite interesting, because if we'll go back in the Bible, we're going to see that life, human physical life, began in a garden. And in that garden, God said, was the source of all nutrition to support the physical body that He, God, had made. Now, when we think about the plant, we find that there are 4 ingredients necessary in order to grow our food. We need sunlight for photosynthesis. We need carbon dioxide. We need the minerals found in the soil. And, of course, we need the plant. Now, God created every single one of those. And what the sun does, the sun energy takes these raw ingredients and in the plant causes growth. And within the growth of the plant comes the fruit and, of course, the nutrients that nourishes our physical body. All the nutrients God intended this physical body to be nourished with are found within the plant. As long as man remained in the garden, sickness did not manifest. In fact, from the time of creation and the man started to consume the plant life for the next 1700 years, all the way up until the flood, man lived exclusively on the raw plants as found in the garden. And during that 1700 years, there's not a single instance of physical breakdown or physical illness. And man lived to an average age of 912. And then we come to the flood that covered the entire earth, and all the plant foods had been destroyed. And because of the destruction of all the plant foods, God allowed man for the first time in Genesis chapter 9 and verse number 3 to consume the flesh of the clean animals that were on the ark. I believe that was a one-time event. It was for survival purposes. But once man got the taste of flesh, he couldn't leave it alone. And so man started to consume foods that were found outside of the garden. And friends, almost every physical problem we experience today is caused by the consuming of those foods that are found outside of the garden. Here at Halley Acres, our whole teaching is, let's get back to the garden. Let's get back to eating the foods that God designed our physical body to be nourished with. And when we do, we find the physical body almost always starting to rebuild itself, renew itself, and restore itself to health, and we don't get sick anymore. In the plant, we find all the nutrients necessary to sustain life. For instance, protein. We hear all of this talk about the need for protein and why we need to eat animal source foods to get our protein. And yet, where did all the protein in that cow come from? What did the cow eat to get that protein? It ate the grass. So all the protein found in the flesh of the animal originated in the plant. We're told we need to drink milk, cow milk, to get our calcium. But what did the cow eat in order to get the calcium that's in the cow's milk? It ate grass. You see, all the nutrients found in animal source foods originated in the living plant. And when we eat the animal to get our nourishment, my friends, we're oftentimes eating an animal that, not only are we getting it secondhand, but an animal that has all kinds of things like mad cow disease and other things that are creating new physical problems within the physical body. So here at Halley Acres, we're trying to get folks to return to the garden, back to the garden, back to the source of nutrition that God designed this physical body to be nourished with. And as we start to look at the various plants and we start to look at the nutrients contained in these various plants, not only do they have within them the protein that the body needs and the carbohydrates that the body needs, but I just took off of Google this morning a little bit about the nutrient content of spinach. Now listen to this. This is really exciting. 1 cup of raw spinach contains 86 grams of protein, 7 grams of fiber, 167 milligrams of potassium, 15 milligrams of phosphorus, 24 milligrams of magnesium, 30 milligrams of calcium, 24 milligrams of sodium, and then we've got zinc, we've got copper, we've got manganese, we've got selenium, and it also contains a small amount of incredibly additional minerals. As far as vitamins are concerned, and I won't go through the amounts, but within that cup of spinach, there is vitamin C, there is niacin, there is vitamin B1, there is vitamin B2, there is vitamin B6, there is pantothenic acid, there is folate, there is vitamin A, there is vitamin K, there is vitamin E, and on it goes. In other words, all the nutrients that this incredibly God-made physical body we each possess, every nutrient this body needs, is found in the living plant. For the last 35 plus years, the only nutrients my physical body has received has been plant nutrients. I stopped eating all animal source foods at the age of 42 after being diagnosed with colon cancer in 1976. And all the nutrients, by the way, I'm only 2 years from my 80th birthday, and all the nutrients I have had to support my physical body during these last 35 plus years are the foods, the nutrients coming from these plants found in the garden. And that's why here at Hallelujah Acres we put such an emphasis on growing our own food and eating garden foods. And we're so thrilled that you are a part of this return that we're trying to bring about across America and the world, to return back to the garden, back to the source of the nutrients God designed our physical bodies to be nourished with. So now we want to go out into my raised bed organic gardens and show you a little bit of the increase in growth we have seen these plants experience over the last month or so since we planted them. We're going to start here with these tomatoes. Previously, about a month ago, we planted these, and they were maybe 8 or 10 inches high. Today you can see the incredible growth that they have experienced, and I want us to kind of zoom in here if we can, and I want you to see the tomatoes that are already being produced by this plant. These will be ready for harvest in just a few weeks, but these are interdeterminate tomatoes, and these will continue growing. I will add another 6 feet of height, and these will, by the end of the season, be at least 12 feet in height, and they will be just covered and hanging with tomatoes that entire 12 feet. Tomatoes are very rewarding. They love the summer heat, although when the temperature goes above 90 degrees, they stop setting fruit. And so that is a problem when we get the extreme heat in the summertime, but we keep the water to them, and we keep them cultivated and fertilized. I fertilize these every 1 to 2 weeks with Tomato Tone, and you can see the growth that we have experienced within just about the last month or so. These onions we planted early this spring, and now we see a couple of months of growth has taken place upon them, and I just want to show you a little bit about what we are already obtaining here. They're just gorgeous. These are ready for table use. In fact, we're already harvesting, we're already using and eating these in our preparation of our meals. And we will leave these in, those that we don't harvest, until the tops die back. And as the tops die back, then we will harvest them, and we will take them and we will wrap them either in individual wrappings with newspaper or in some kind of a net bagging, and they will, in a cool place, and we'll put them in our cool cellar. These will keep probably up till Thanksgiving or Christmas. So we have just in this small area, about 4 by 4 feet in our raised bed, over 100 onions that will keep us in onions for the table use for about 7 or 8 or 9 months of the year. They're a very rewarding crop, and for a couple dollars for the sets, we get an incredible harvest. So here we have some basil that we planted about a month ago from just some small starter plants, and these are in our raised bed. You can see them, they're starting to scald a little bit from the sunlight, which is, it's pretty intense right now at this time of the year. So I want us to go take a look at those we planted in a pot, and I want you to see that as it gets part shade and part sun, we don't get that sun scalding and we produce a better plant. Also over here is cilantro. This here is cilantro. We're having a problem with it. It wants to go to seed. We keep cutting it back and getting the new growth. And then this is Italian parsley on the end, and that is growing well. We have some of that also over in a pot in a more shaded area. So we'll go take a look at that. Okay. This basil we planted about a month ago in a pot, and where we have this pot situated, it gets some shade from the sun about half the day, and we're not getting the blanching, the burning from the sun. And so sometimes when you have it in a container, you can adjust the amount of sun it receives and keep it as a healthier plant. We also have some celery. Actually, the celery seems to be growing better in our raised bed, but you can see in the pot we're growing it well. And here is the cilantro that you saw growing in our raised bed, growing in a pot. Once again, we're having a problem keeping it from going to seed, but there's a lot of usable cilantro there on this plant. That's it for this session of the Hallelujah Gardening Guide. And until next time, this is George Malkmus saying happy gardening to you.